documentary. You will have Congolese filmmakers from Cape Verde as well. We have a South African as well, a movie that we'll be showing. I'm really looking forward to the anime. That's going to be Opal, which I've actually seen on Quelly TV, the first one. Just fantastic quality, and that's been produced by a filmmaker from Martinique. So yeah, a very nice selection today, and tomorrow is going to be the closing of the festival, and we will have entertainers. I've seen it today. Please, maybe Nina, you can help me. Who are the entertainers tomorrow? It's
Masai Kasai.
Masai Kasai. So we're going to have Masai Kasai for the closing ceremony tomorrow, and then another lineup of films. When we finish this Q&A, we'll tell you exactly what you're going to be able to see today.
Super.
Fantastic. Okay, we're going to start very soon. So once again, we take this opportunity to thank our sponsor, host and facilitator, the West Norwood Picturehouse, for making this happen. And of course, big round of applause. Big round of applause, please, to the Executive Director and the founder of the London Pan-African Film Festival, Nikunda Nava.
Bravo, bravo.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So I'm just going to bring up my little program just to be accurate in the title. Fantastic. Okay. So the documentary was Kingdom of Congo in Search of the Destroyed Kingdom. I had the opportunity of watching it a couple of days ago when it was screened. Very moving, very insightful, very informative, and especially such a different narrative and perspective from what we would see in our traditional history books. So first of all, Nekunda, could I please ask you what inspired you to make this documentary?
Well, thank you so much. I mean, the inspiration came from the desire of telling our stories. That's the first thing. And when I made my documentary, Kimpa Vita, the Mother of the African Revolution, which was released in 2016, in the documentary Kimpa Vita, I speak a little bit about the Kingdom of Congo, but I didn't get the opportunity to expand the knowledge around the Kingdom of Congo. So that's why I thought next I have to develop more about the Kingdom of Congo, so people can know, can learn about it as well. So that's why I made a documentary about the Kingdom of Congo.
Thank you so much. My next question is going to go to Kunga, our brother Kunga. Fantastic voiceover. Yes, I actually didn't know it was, well, I didn't know you did the voiceover, and then when I was listening to it, I thought, this is brother Kunga. Fantastic. So my question to you would be, like, from a person who is not from Congo, what was your first take on watching the documentary?
Yeah, thank you again, and thank you all, and thank you, Brother Nakunda, for the invite and the opportunity as well. I think for me, again, it was knowledge. So I'm kind of the outsider within, in a sense, and having met Nakunda on the screening of Kimpa Vita, just fully falling in love with the project, the determination to kind of show Congo, Africa, in all their beautiful glory, as well as obviously some of the uncomfortable stories. So I was very comfortable to work on the project, really keen. It's, you know, I'm sure he'll tell you it's a kind of a labour of love and you know, it's, up and down stories to get this on the screen. So, and for me, being very interested in work from the continent and filmmakers like Nakunda, it was kind of an easy decision to make, really. But not so much even about the voiceover, it's really about, you know, looking at the script, the editing aspect of it, just because obviously whilst he speaks sort of 3 languages, my only gift, if it's that, is I speak English. So the editing aspect of it, just from an English point of view, I think was very important. So we just looked at that, worked together, and it had agreements and disagreements, and it was a learning curve for me as well. Just haven't really done that aspect of filmmaking before. So yeah, so for me it was just really just wanted to be part of the project in any which way.
Great. Do you have a favourite part to the documentary, Nakunda?
Wow, the favorite part of I mean, I love all the documentary, you know, everything is very important. Every single moment of the documentary is, you know, really important to me. And we have so many chapters, so there is nothing to take away, you know, to remove from the documentary. Really, everything is important. And to bring this kind of content is not easy, because we have a lot of information out there, because we're speaking about a kingdom which existed centuries ago, many centuries, and we don't even have, you know, archives today to be able to get the resources about the Kingdom of Congo. So, I mean, for me, it's like everything is really important. So, yeah.
Thank you. And talking about archives, I know that a lot of oral tradition was actually like mentioned in having access to information. Could you tell us a little bit more about who you were able to approach, especially when it comes to the information passed down through oral tradition?
Well, we have some spiritual organizations in Congo or today, luckily. I mean, those organizations are really great. They are helping about, you know, promoting our history. So we have like a Vuvamu spiritual, you know, organization from Congo, and we have many of them. And apart from that, you know, as you can see from the documentary, we went to Angola, to, you know, Mbanza Congo as well, Mbanza Congo, which was the capital of the Kingdom of Congo, and we did meet, you know, the chiefs from Mbanza Congo, who are, you know, symbolically representing the power of, you know, the Kingdom of Congo today. So we had to meet with them, discuss with them as well, to, you know, to get the view of, you know, things in terms of the Kingdom of Congo, and in terms of what we are, I mean, what we have today as the remain of the Kingdom of Congo.
Thank you. So now obviously there's a big theme around spirituality. So we know that on the African continent, and talking about colonialism, that Catholicism has been very key to maintain people in a place of subservience and to manipulate really the mass to walk away from their own traditions, from their own spirituality. How do you feel things are moving in terms of spirituality and Congo, but perhaps also Africa, reconnecting with their spiritual roots? And I would like to have both of your takes, please. So perhaps if I could start with you, Kunga. How do you feel that Africa is reconnecting to its spiritual roots?
I think for me personally, I mean, I'm an African born in the UK, so I think that we learn more having lived in parts of Africa. I recognise that you're right, in one part then they will be Muslim country, another part maybe a Catholic aspect, and I've lived in places where it's Christian Orthodoxy, so Ethiopia. And I think that now, being a part of the Pan-Africanist movement, we talk about African spirituality in its essence, but also in its political power, coming from Jamaican heritage. We recognize that Jamaica was one of the first to have an uprising against colonization, but they used the likes of Marcus Garvey, who was a Christian, but echoed with the drum as well of Rastafari in order to really agitate against the enslaver. And Haiti, we all know as well. So I think where we are now, I think that there is a retracing of all of that. And fundamentally, I think we're moving towards that. But what actually is it? Is it the essence of agitation, protest, uprising, or is it palm wine? It's a combination of all those things. I think it really looks at knowledge. We can also, many of even our church leaders have an aspect of African spirituality. And it's whether or not they're really looking to be honest and transparent in using that to where we are now in the UK and looking at Europe as well. So I think that there is a retracing of those steps. How does it manifest? It's a very difficult one to recognize, because sometimes we do this thing where it looks good. We sometimes fetishize Africa. We have somewhat of a nostalgic and romantic view. But really, when we talk about African spirituality, is it the kola nut? Is it just pouring libation? Or is it really a connection through filmmakers such as Nkunda in really harking what the works of Kimpavita and Queen Nzinga, pushing against, using the African spirit to really push against the enslaver, whether it be physical or obviously more importantly, arguably mental. So I think we're moving towards it. I think there is a retracing, but really that's to start within the family, because obviously the UK, the westernized system, fears African spirituality more than the African fist. So, I think, me personally, I think that's where we're.
If I can ask you the same question.
Well, I think there is a move, actually. If we go back to many years, like 50 years ago, 30 years ago, probably, we won't see the same thing as we have today. Today, for example, in Congo, we have many spiritual organizations. We have people committed to the African spirituality today, as it was before. And today, if you speak about African spirituality, people are not scared. I can say, if I can use this vocabulary, people are not scared as it was before. When you tell someone I'm from the African spirituality, or I'm not Christian, or I'm not Muslim, people were surprised. They think like you are a witch when you talk about African spirituality. But I mean, today is not no more the case. And even in my side, if I had the opportunity to discover a lot of things in terms of this African spirituality, even discovering big personalities like Kimpavita, for example, it's because of those African spiritual movements in Congo, which gave me the opportunity to learn, even to reconnect. So there is kind of reconnection today, but we still have a lot to do. That's what I can say, because it's just a small portion of the population of the group of people among the African communities, but the majority still need to learn and reconnect with the African spirituality.
Yes, it's very interesting, because I feel that even in religious movements, whether it be like that, let's say Christendom, even people within this, you have movements that can, tracing it back, recognize that first and foremost, this religion was birthed in Africa. And it's just, it's interesting, because in terms of being Euro-centered, if you just look at the locations of where things are placed, and if you look at the cultural aspect of it, you have a lot of scholars who will tell you that the mind of it shaped the religion in terms of solidarity, fraternity, the way of reasoning, and obviously, where it all started. So what I'm going to do now is just to allow the audience to ask questions to either Nkunda and Kunga also, who's part of the team and supported on this project. So if you would like to ask a question, can you please raise your hand? Or give feedback. I always start with this because we ask for feedback and then people think, oh yeah, I do have a question. Would you like to give some feedback?
Any feedback? Any questions?
Any feedback
Don't be shy, people.
about what you thought?
Thank
Any
you.
highlights? Okay.
Lendo, Patrick.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm from Nigerian background, but I was born and raised here, so I'm a diasporan. I just wanted to ask, I think towards the end of the documentary, there was the comment of how language is quite rich, and that's how you kind of like preserve like the culture and the history of where you're from. I think my question is more so, what do you suggest in terms of how a person can remain connected with their roots other than language? I think my perspective is that with my personal language of Yoruba, it's a thing where I wasn't taught it from my parents. So I'm trying to see other avenues because I love history, but languages in school has always been a bit of my struggle point. So I was thinking, what advice do you have for people who are looking to kind of reconnect with their roots? And yeah.
Aside of language, what other way?
Well, that's an interesting question. There are so many aspects, many ways, to reconnect with the African spirituality or your culture. But I mean, the first one I can suggest would be starting with your family. You need to learn
To go back.
about where you came from. You need to be able to retrace, your ancestors,
Yeah.
because that's the first connection. Because our ancestors connect us with our spiritual world.
Yeah.
So that's many people neglect. So it is a very,
Makes
a
sense.
very important element to
Mm.
to look after. So it's to check about your ancestors, where you came from. You need to go back many years ago, to be honest. So that'll be, I think one of the things I can suggest you. But apart from that, you need, even in terms of yourself, in terms of how you call yourself, how people call you, which is important, which is one of the connection with your culture and your spirituality. And I think that's all I can suggest really from the beginning. So you need to reconnect with your roots. Your ancestors are your roots. They are the ones to connect you with the spirituality, and you need to connect with them even through the tombs where they are. You need to, because it's a station for us to be able to connect with them as well.
Next question. Good.
It's not a question, yeah, but
Okay,
I just,
so here we are.
yeah, it's not really a question. Just to add on to what Nikunda said, is he mentioned something about what do people call you. So that means that when you were born, there's a reason why your parent gave you the name that they gave you. So you need to sit your parents down and ask them, why did you give me this name? And those kind of things. And then eventually that will open up a portal for you to start understanding your purpose.
That's great. Another feedback or question in the audience? Okay, all right then. So my favorite part was for sure the Bantu story.
Everyone's talking about it.
And
I know.
I just find it fantastic, and I want to emphasize it because of the brotherhood of the African spirit. We are humans.
Mm.
They encountered the different people, that there was no fear because we are from the same human family, regardless of the color.
Mm.
Whereas you had on the other end people who already saw differences and division. Can you tell us a little bit more about this, please? how this mention came along, and what both of your thoughts are on this encounter between Europe and the Congo people.
Yeah, there are so many things, so many vocabularies born from this meeting between European people and African people. See, today there is a misinterpretation of the same thing, and they keep teaching people the same mistakes. But that's why for it's really important to speak about these elements in the documentary, for example, about the Bantu, because they teach people in schools, even until today, people, they are learning about this categorization of people. We have this in Africa, not talking about other people, but let's, censor our conversation around Africa only at this point. You see that there is a category of people in Africa, but there's category when they speak about Bantu, semi-Bantu, for example. It came from a mistake, really, a misunderstanding of our Portuguese people when they met with Congo people, because they asked our ancestors, why you, our ancestors, replicated by saying Twena Bantu, Twena Bantu in Kikongo, which means Bantu Twena in Kikongo. We are humans. That was the answer of our ancestors. But they understood, like they said, they are called Bantu people. So that's where this categorization came from. And then we still have it until today. People are still teaching it in this way. Or Bantu, which is in plural, it means people. Humans. And, a man, or, in singular, we say Muntu. So you can find it if you go to many parts of Africa, they will say Muntu. And in Congo, when they say Muntu, it means inside the head. That's if we go literally, the meaning. Muntu, inside the head. Why? Because when you talk about human, the human, is the spirit, mind, which is inside the human body, which is inside the head.
It's the mind.
So that's why they say Muntu, which means there is a spirit inside the head. Because in Kikongo, the head is Ntu. So that's why in Kikongo they say Muntu, which means the spirit inside the head. So we consider a human like a spirit inside the body, or inside the head, or inside the brain. So that's why they call human Muntu in Kikongo, and the plural is Bantu. And it's the same thing with the vocabulary. Putu, if you go to Congo, or you speak with people who, the people who speak Kikongo, for example, they say Mputu to talk about Europe. They say, today they even say Poto. We're going to Poto, we're going to Putu. Putu was a misunderstanding as well, in our side. Our ancestors, when they met with Portuguese people as well, the Portuguese people told them that they are Portuguese, but they heard like Mputu Lukezo. So, and then, another vocabulary came in that side, misunderstanding. So, Mputu Lukezo, our ancestors, started to call them Putu Lukezo, instead of saying Portuguese. So there are many vocabularies born like this, just from this misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the things. We have like, if you go back to Congo as well, they'll say boy, for example, housemaid. They'll say housemaid, they'll say boy. But the boy, this term came from boy, because the European people working in Congo at the time, even the time of Stanley, they were working with, boys
slave.
In Congo. They were calling them boys, boy, come here. So as they were working for them, some of them, for like, when you're working for someone, you're a boy. So they're using that. There are so many vocabularies like this, just born from this meeting and this interpretation.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm certainly not going to add too much to that because that was mind blowing as well. So I'm a student. But yeah, interestingly, I think, yes, I agree, obviously. But also the greeting was met with love. And the trust was pretty much there. There was no element of who are you, we need to fight you. And that's maybe the African naivety, maybe, we could argue that, Pan-Africanists do. But that's, I think that was the initial moment I grabbed from that, is that you look different. And I've been blessed to have been in Kenya one time, and I met an elder, and she just talked to me and through her grandson, and he said to me, she says that your face looks familiar, but the shine is gone, and the African shine. She'd noticed, and she said that definitely you're my son, but it looks like you've gone away. And I thought, when I took that, and I thought, that's similar to where we are now, is that greeting point where the chances are they look human, and the aspect of we are all human, so therefore we should start with love. And obviously it became twisted, as we saw with the film. And so yeah, you're right. We are human, but I think we're kind of forgetting that.
This really resonates with me in terms of, again, looking at everything that we have seen through the festival. And I always remember what Genda Boy said, that we're the custodians of this world, in a sense, like the know-how, the knowledge, the working with nature, respecting the environment that is around us, and that sort of thing. So when you are talking about embracing the world with love, and when you're talking about in Kongo, the meaning, for instance, of muntu, that being inside the head, it just shows how the materialistic aspect would be much lesser than just, embracing the soul in the being. And we can see that the society that has been created is materialistic, and that's what we're seeing with capitalism and so forth. So the humanity of Africa has sustained civilization and the world that we live in for a very, very long time. But as soon as you are in a materialistic society, everything starts to collapse. So I'm terribly blessed by what the two of you are sharing and your perspective to it. So that will be your last opportunity to say something or ask a question before we close and move on to the next movies. Any questions, any feedback? All right then, so could we please give another big round of applause to both Nikunda Laba and